The rainforest is the beating heart of the Amazon biome. This vast tropical rainforest boasts 2,100,000 square miles of the Amazon basin and is defined by the area that is fed by the Amazon River and its tributaries. It falls within the borders of 9 nations: Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Bolivia, Ecuador, Guyana, French Guiana, Venezuela, and Suriname. Brazil owns the greatest amount, 60%. The Amazon rainforest, aka Amazonia, or the Amazon jungle, formed about 55 million years ago, with regions of savanna grasslands stretching into the tropics after the Ice Age. It has expanded and contracted throughout periods in history, but persevered even during glacial periods, allowing for the survival and evolution of a broad spectrum of species. Today it forms over half of the Earth's rainforest. Amazonia possesses the world's largest river system and largest and most diverse tract of tropical vegetation in the world. According to the World Wildlife Federation, 1 in 10 known animal species live here. More than 370 types of reptiles and 1,300 types of birds have been identified. 40,000 plant species, including an estimated 16,000 different tree species, have been found. This jungle is home to 430 plus types of mammals, including jaguars, tapirs, sloths, spider monkeys, and anteaters. Some fun information: a single square mile of rainforest often houses more than 50,000 insects, and some scientists figure 50,000 species of insects, and some scientists figure that 30% of the animal biomass in the Amazon rainforest is made up of ants. More than 50% of life in the rainforest exists in the trees. Trees in the uppermost layer, the overstory, tower 20 to 100 feet above the canopy layer, which shelters the understory, brush, and forest floor. The canopy plays an important role in regulating regional and global climate because of its role in the exchange of heat, water vapor, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Canopy trees shield the understory and below from intense sunlight, drying winds, and heavy rainfall. It retains steady temperature and humidity levels beneath its umbrella. Another fun tidbit: it can take up to 10 minutes for rainwater to reach the forest floor. The Amazon holds a whole medicine chest of cures for mankind. Many native communities have deep and detailed knowledge of the rainforest and its treasures. The Tsami people of Bolivia are a prime example of this. 47 different local species of plants, comprising 20% of the food consumed by the Tsami, are for medical purposes. Tropical botanists often rely on local knowledge to classify and identify native plant species to reveal their benefits to the world of science and conservation. 70% of the plants listed by the National Cancer Institute for their ability to protect against cancer come from the rainforests. Periwinkle is harvested to make vincristine, the world's most powerful anti-cancer drug, as well as vinblastine, another cancer fighter. Quinine, an aid in the cure of malaria, is derived from the bark of the chinchilla tree. Captopril, a medication for control of hypertension, comes from the venom of the Brazilian pit viper. Over a quarter of the medicines we take are made using rainforest-based ingredients. Surprisingly, only 1% of rainforest plants have been studied for their medicinal properties. Tragically, the medical potential held in the Amazon's living things may remain unknown due to drought, deforestation, and destruction. The Amazon recently suffered 2 once-in-a-century droughts, one in 2010 and the other in 2015. A study done in 2019, conducted by Columbia University, reports that dry years stress living plants so that they are unable to absorb excess CO2 from the atmosphere. In wet years, plants continue to take in carbon dioxide, but not enough to counteract the dry years. The increase in frequency and intensity of droughts reduces the evaporation and surface cooling of plants, which in turn increases atmospheric temperature. Normally, plants and soil draw 25% of CO2 created by humans from the atmosphere, easing the impact of our emissions on the world. The concentration of CO2 in our air has increased 40% since the Industrial Revolution. Less uptake of CO2 by plants equals warming of the planet and more dry years. This is a vicious cycle that accelerates climate change. The models used in this research indicate that by 2060, plants will have reached their maximum ability to absorb carbon. The Amazon rainforest is slashed and burned to make way for farming, cattle ranching, logging, mining, infrastructure, and oil extraction. Burning and decay release carbon dioxide stored in living trees back into the atmosphere. In the Amazon, an acre of rainforest disappears every 2 seconds. Since President Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil took office in 2019, his administration has chopped budgets and laid off staff at the environmental regulatory agencies responsible for controlling illegal land grabbing activities in the rainforest. Bolsonaro labeled these regulations as impediments to Brazil's growth. He has cut funding for the control and prevention of forest fires by 23%. Critics have pointed to Bolsonaro's laissez-faire policy as a principal cause of recent deforestation. 30% spike in deforestation, the highest rate since 2008, has occurred since Brazil's change in government. In September of last year, with 80,000 fires recorded throughout the Amazon since January, double that of the same period last year, 7 Amazonian countries, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Guyana, Peru, and Suriname, signed a pact to set up a disaster response network and satellite monitoring for forest fires in the tropical forest. At a summit in Colombia, they also agreed to work on deforestation, education, and increase the role of indigenous communities in the battle. Despite this agreement, satellite data reveals that more than 5,019 square miles of rainforest have been burned in just the first 7 months of 2020. Around 310,000 indigenous people call the Brazilian rainforest home. 90% live on a preserve that comprises 20% of Brazil's forest. The remainder, who dwell outside the preserve, along with other Amerindian societies within Amazonia, face the threat of encroachment from the outside world. From the 1960s, when a single road ran through the Amazon, to the 1990s, the number of non-traditional people in the rainforest has increased from 2 million to around 20 million. For indigenous people, this intrusion brings disease, plunder, fires, and death. 1/3 of all indigenous Amazonian tribes recorded from 1900 are now extinct. The native residents who live within the preserves have been much more successful in stopping illegal and unwanted activity from opportunists than those who don't. They are crucial to the fight against deforestation. According to the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies, 80% of the deforestation of the Amazon is caused by ranching. This is driven by the surging demand for beef. Brazil is the biggest consumer of domestically raised beef. In the global market, particularly in Asia, demand is growing much faster than it is domestically. Amazon Watch, one of many organizations formed to protect the rainforest and to advance the rights of its indigenous people, has listed 12 international companies they call the Dirty Dozen, who are key players in the destruction of the rainforest. Global commodity traders like Cargill, JBS, and Mafrig produce goods from the Amazon. Their products are then sold to retailers such as Leclerc, Stop & Shop, Walmart, and Costco. Behind these commodity traders stand the firms BlackRock, JP Morgan, Santander, BNP, Paribas, HSBC, and others. These banks and institutional investors provide financing and enable expansion into the rainforest and to the Amazon. In areas where deforestation is severe, islands of rainforest remain. These are often located far apart from other forested areas. Animal survival and recolonization is diminished, as well as cross-pollination of plants. Although these patches of vegetation can increase the chances of short-term survival, researchers say that over the long term, they will become extinct. Conservation of existing rainforests is crucial for reforestation, but reforestation is equally valuable. One way that conservationists seek to protect rainforest species is to reforest the corridors that lie between rainforest parcels. This gives plants and animals access to a larger habitat and the chance to mix with other populations. Scientists are studying the introduction of non-native trees into the rainforest biome. The success of a flourishing rainforest habitat relies on a fragile balance of ecological factors. They have to determine what the impact will be with the introduction of each foreign species on the area from its microbial life right on up through the food chain, and then choose the right ones. Fast-growing secondary forests and tree farms can replace the use of primary, old-growth forests as a source of agriculture and energy needs. Secondary forests can help to balance the natural cycle of water, sunlight, and CO2 that our planet needs. They can also keep soil erosion in check. One inventive method for reforestation involves bats. Researchers are installing man-made bat roosts in deforested areas to encourage spreading of seeds from fruit consumed by the bats. Other measures involve species protection and protective breeding programs. Incentives are being handed out to farmers and ranchers for cultivating forest parcels on their lands. Some companies are rethinking their relationships with products derived from the Amazon. In 1980, spurred by ecological activists, Burger King stopped buying beef from the Amazon. Recently, several international retailers have chosen to suspend their purchases of Brazilian leather. Rainforest action groups such as World Wildlife Federation, Amazon Aid Foundation, Amazon Watch, and Amazon Rainforest Conservancy are taking steps to help keep life in the Amazon thriving so that we may all thrive too.